Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Those Guys Sports Podcast, where Troy is doing his best Trinidad Chambliss impersonation, and he's trying to go for his sixth year of eligibility at 32.
Chris, 32, man. I'm ready to go.
Hey, do you have good health insurance, man? I mean, I don't know. You're at that age now where you need good health insurance if you're going to try and
well,
go back.
well, sad part is if I leave my job, no, I lose it. So to answer your question, no, I won't be covered unless the school covers me.
But Troy, tell the viewers about our exciting segment today. Let them know who we're interviewing, Troy.
Yeah, guys. So tonight's guest is a former teammate of mine who made a name for himself in the coaching world recently. After spending some time as an assistant coach in both Southern New Mexico and Arizona, he is now taking the reins at Manzano High School in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He brings with him a wealth of knowledge, experience, but not only just as a coach, but as a player as well. He has a passion for developing players and a vision for success. Michael, welcome to the podcast, man. We're glad to have you.
Thanks, guys. I'm glad to be here and excited to do this, and been watching your guys' podcasts and catching some of the episodes, and you guys do things a little bit different, which I like. So it's always entertaining. So thank you guys for having me.
Well, man, I appreciate it. Sometimes we're not always able to record because Chris Love will forget his charger somewhere and can't, charge his laptop, can't charge his iPad. So we're glad to have you on here. We're glad that we're having a show tonight. Michael, obviously we played together back in the day, right? So you've been a part of the Bulldog program. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit your whole overview of your athletic career?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I grew up obviously in Las Cruces, just like the both of you. Attended Cruces High, graduated in 2013. Was lucky enough to be part of a state championship football team my senior year. We beat Sandia High School up there at Wilson Stadium. We went 12-1, I believe, that year. And so, yeah, great year. Participated in basketball my freshman year. Also did track all through high school. Was a state medalist in the triple jump my junior year. My senior year, I chose not to go because it was the day of graduation. So I just figured I'd walk and graduate. And then we also had rugby. You guys, I think it started your senior year. And I joined my senior year, and we went all the way and got third place in rugby. It was a bunch of the football guys just kind of joined, had no idea what we were doing, but we were good athletes and tough kids, and it just kind of worked itself out. So yeah, that was just kind of my high school years, and then walked on at NMSU my freshman year. I did that, and then right after my freshman year was kind of, didn't have the best experience, probably should have done some things a little bit different, and then got right into coaching. And so that's when that journey kind of started. So, yeah.
Heck yeah, man. I do remember the rugby stuff. I remember Coach Jake was pushing that on everybody. So I never joined. I was always getting injured anyway, right? So I was trying to keep my body healthy. And but yeah, no, it seems like you guys had a good time and there was a lot of success there. You were a 2-year starter on varsity at Las Cruces High. My senior year, you're a year behind me. I do remember you having some key moments that year. I think you had a big stop against Artesia defensively. And I remember offensively, we could not get going that entire game. And I think we ended up winning like 24-21. So it was a tight game. But I think towards the end, you may have had like a big play there. I remember some stuff like that kind of stands out with me. But I also remember that you never left the field. You were a punt returner, you were a safety, and a wide receiver. Man, how was that like? What was that experience like? Just never leaving the field. I mean, that's got to be an awesome feeling that the coaches trust you that much. Right?
Like I loved it. It was, I mean, one thing I remember Coach Miller being like, if you ever asked to come off the field, you better be like sick as a dog, exhausted. And I remember one time my senior year, we were playing Cibola, and I kind of looked at him and I was like, Coach, I need one. And he's like, all right, yeah. And I was like terrified to even ask to come out, but I loved it, man, because I got to just play. And I try to tell the kids now, right? It's like, why would you not want to just be on the field all the time? You just get to play football, right? Like, we're not professional athletes. We're just high school kids. Do everything. I'd run down on kickoff, make a tackle, line up as a safety, make a tackle, during the whole series, and then go on offense and block and catch a couple balls. And, like you said, go back and return punts. Like, it was a blast. I loved every minute of it. And I think if you're a good athlete, you should be able to play anything, and especially in high school. I mean, there's no limit to what you can do. And that was the culture at Cruces. You guys were a part of it. We learned multiple sides of the ball. You know, sometimes guys would stick to kind of one thing. Like I know, Troy, like you were the center, you played center, right? But I remember, and you know, Chris, I know you did offensive line, some D line stuff, but we were taught to do both. If you had to do it, Troy, they'd put your butt out there and you'd figure it out. You know what I mean? That was just the culture of what we did. And
Yeah.
I loved it. And that's something that I've tried to emulate that as a coach, but no, it was a blast. I'm so glad I got to do that because, I mean, it made my experience so much better.
Yeah,
So
man. I do remember like during that time, they didn't really want to put me on defense a whole bunch because I mean, not a lot of people could shotgun snap at the time. I know that sounds silly, but I mean, it was hell, I couldn't shotgun snap half the time, right? And I was a center. But but man, yeah, so I didn't get to get a lot of reps defensively. When I played in the North-South game,
it's
they
because you're
actually
made of
stuck me at
glass, Troy.
the North-South game, they actually stuck me on the defensive line. I mean, I was playing both ways, and I was having fun with it, man. And that's ended like I ended up tearing my ACL when I was on the defense side of the ball, but you know, it was a good time, man. So yeah, you're right. That culture was just ingrained into our heads. You know, a lot of you. I remember senior year, you guys. A lot of the underclassmen, a lot of the juniors had to step in and fill these crucial roles. So especially when like, you know, one of our top guys, I remember Jeff Segovia, whenever, you know, he was no longer a part of the program, like people just had to fill in all these underclassmen. So yeah, that was one thing that was just always ingrained to us like at a very young age, and coming from a program like that, they just teach you a little bit of everything. So man, obviously with you playing in a state championship game, having a great two pretty good varsity seasons, is there a particular game that stands out to you that was like your favorite besides the state game? You can't do that, so you can't cheat there.
Favorite game. So your senior year, my junior year, we went to Alamogordo. And I remember that was one of my best games individually where it all kind of started coming together. I remember like I had a ton of tackles on defense. I remember I took a guy's head off trying to catch a ball down the middle of the field. I remember I almost returned a punt for a touchdown. That I had a receiving touchdown in the game. I remember that was like, man, like I felt like I belonged, you know, like I had my moments throughout the season on kind of both sides. That was the first time I was like, man, I could do this every game all the time, and just had a bunch of, you know, confidence from that game. So I'd say probably that. You know, I think my first start at home there at the Field of Dreams, we played Volcano Vista. And I remember, I think I had like 12 tackles that game at safety. And it was like the coolest thing. You know, remember we get the stickers on Monday, and I remember Coach Miller just like, man,
Yeah.
we got a junior who's starting and he had all these tackles. And I was like, hell yeah. Like it was like I just felt proud of myself, you know. And then, you know, that Artesia game sticks out for sure. I remember we got to wear the throwback red jerseys. You guys remember that? That was like the coolest
Yes.
thing
Yeah.
ever. So yeah, I remember, you know, had a bunch of those. My senior year, you know, I think when we went to our semifinal game, we played El Dorado. They were a low seed and we were tied at halftime, I believe. And I remember we come in halftime, Coach Miller's fired up, Coach Jay, Coach, everybody's fired up. And it's like, you know, you guys want this to be your last game? Is this going to be your last half of football? And I remember we went out and killed them. Like, I think the final score was like 52-21. Like, we just put it on them. And that's when it was like, man, we're going to do this thing. We're going to figure it out. And then I remember, obviously, you said the state game was, that game was, we were up 21-0, and then we let them back in the game, and we had to have a, you know, goal line stand, and then we had to kill the clock. We went on an 8-minute drive. I'll never forget that. It was an 8-minute kill the clock drive, and we won state, and it was just amazing. It all, you know, team effort, everything, you know, it was awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's wild, man. I know the only slip up you guys had that year was against Rio Rancho, and the ironic thing was the year before, who took us out of the quarterfinals was Rio Rancho. We let them back in the game. We were destroying them the entire time. So I always, man, I have it out for Rio Rancho so bad still this
Same,
day.
same.
But yeah, yeah. Well, at least you're gonna get your chance to kind of redeem
Yeah,
yourself,
whoop,
man.
yeah.
So, uh, but but yeah, no, that's cool, man. Yeah, that was some good times. And when you brought up that Alamogordo game, I don't know if you remember this, but before we got to the stadium, remember our
Oh
bus
yeah,
broke
I
down.
remember it. Uh-huh.
So And then we had parents just loading up students from the bus, or loading up players from the bus and just taking them to the stadium. And then finally we got the bus to work.
Yeah.
But I guess they said we couldn't travel too heavy or something like that. So there was only like 10 of us
It was
on the
crazy.
bus
It
back to
was
the
crazy.
stadium. So yeah, good times, man. I still have a picture from that. So I wish I could have shared it on this. But yeah, man. So which side of the ball did you actually prefer?
You know what? I preferred the defensive side of the ball just because I just felt like I was always a part of everything. You know, like sometimes offensively, there's plays designed for certain individuals. It might go a certain way. You know, as a receiver, we're blocking a lot of the times. You know, when we did throw the ball, you know, it's not just like I was the only option. But in defense, I could kind of dictate how much I got to be a part of the play, which was all effort and just getting to the ball. So I just felt like I was involved 24/7 on the defensive side. You know, I will say though, it's funny. Like I remember always kind of coming to the sideline and making checks offensively with Coach Lopez. Like, hey, this looks open. This looks like we could do this. And I remember like we would do it and it would work. And I'd be like, man, like I should coach football. Like I remember thinking that, like, man, I'm over here calling stuff. Like, what the heck? And so I thought I was gonna be like a more offensive coach, but no, defensively, I felt like I was just involved in every aspect of it. So yeah, I'd say defense.
Okay, okay. Hey, switching gears
Yeah.
a bit, Michael. So earlier you alluded to that you played different sports growing up. Do you feel like being a multi-sport athlete helped you in your football career, or do you feel like you would have the same success if you just specialized in football? And I ask that because we see now many of our kids now are specializing in one sport.
You
So,
know what? I'll tell you, I would not have been the football player I was if I didn't run track. Because I don't know if you guys remember, I was not the fastest kid in the world. I tried my hardest, but track got me like fast enough to be successful. And obviously, I think it just helps the body, right? Like, I would do the sprint workouts, I would do the jumping workouts. I just think it kind of, when you do multi-sport, when you're a multi-sport guy, you train different muscles, you train different movements. If you're a football
mhm,
guy, right, and I see it all
okay.
the time with kids I've coached, if you're a DB and all you do is backpedal and brake at 45 degrees, 90 degrees again and again, eventually that muscle is gonna go, right? But if you train your body to change directions, do some different things, do some different lifting workouts per different sport, I think it just helps the body. You become just better overall, right? So I'm a huge advocate of multi-sport athletes. I think you shouldn't be specializing till you're in college, right? If you're lucky enough to be one of those guys, right? If you're in
Okay.
high school and you're an athlete, play it all, right? Do it all because you only get to kind of live that life once. And sometimes the guys that just stick to one thing, I feel like sometimes it hurts them, right? And there's success stories, there's pros and cons, right? There's guys that, but for me, yeah, playing, different sports growing up helped me tremendously.
So, to follow up with that, Michael, and great, that was great. I agree as well. I think that kids, up until the time that they're in college or up until the time that they need to specialize, they should be playing multiple
Mhm.
sports as well. Switching gears as well, when you walked on to New Mexico State, did you know that you wanted to do coaching after that? Or after you were kind of done, with the whole college thing, did you say, you know what, let me try the coaching
Well,
avenue?
I always wanted to coach. I knew I wanted to coach from a young age, man. My dad was a basketball coach, and when I was growing up, I'd go to basketball practice with him all the time. And he used to let me run a drill, right? I'd always run my drills, and I'd be part of the game. And they'd call timeout. They'd be winning by like 30 points, but I'd drop a play. And so like I thought like, oh, I'm gonna be a coach. And then I don't know if you guys remember in high school, we used to have the kids camps where the young kids would come in, and we were like the coaches.
Yeah.
That was when I really was like, man, I want to coach because I thought I was good at it. Some of our teammates weren't, like, it just wasn't their thing. I loved every minute of it. I was like, come on, guys, let's go here. Let's do this. We're going to run this play. We're going to do that. Like, I just loved every minute of it. And so, yeah, whenever I stopped playing, I remember I got a call from my old 8th grade football coach at Lynn Middle School. And he's like, hey, come help out. And I was like, hey, of course, like, I would love to. And yeah, it let me still be a part of the game, but not have to obviously be a player, right? But I got to still feel that rush, and I still get it. Like it still keeps me every Friday night, man. I get those butterflies, not as much as when we played, but you get them. and you get those moments and you get to be a part of it. And I love getting to see the kids in those moments because it just brings me back, and it's amazing. It's why I do it. So, yeah.
Man, it was hilarious running those camps. I remember, if you have a center, your offensive lineman trying to run a 7-on-7, I mean, that's hilarious. Talk about comedy. Like, I'm just there. I'm like, oh, man, like, there's no blocking schemes here. There's nothing like that. So I'm over here just making up stuff. Tell these kids, just get open,
man.
Get
Yeah,
open.
be a playmaker.
But
Yeah, man, I'm over here just trying to call different
That's
blocking
awesome,
schemes and
man.
stuff. I'm like,
That's
man,
awesome.
this ain't good.
That's good stuff.
So, Michael, you obviously began your coaching career like in high school with Oñate, right? And then Centennial?
No, so it was the other way. So it was Centennial first. So yeah, so I coached at Lynn Middle School for 2 years. I was like 19 and 20 years old. And then I got a call from Coach Ocampo at Centennial. And so I coached over there for 2 football seasons and 3 track seasons. I was there, and that was when they were kind of coming up, making that transition from, they were at that lower level to the big boy level, right? And so I was part of that transition, and it was great, man. And so yeah, I got to start coaching track, coach football. But yeah, so I was there for, I guess, 2.5 years technically, and then was at Oregon Mountain after that under Coach Castile for 4 years. So, yep.
Gotcha. Was there a preference that out of both high schools, did you take something from each high school that you liked and it's contributed to like your coaching career now? Is there a school that you favored more, like that you would rather work at than the other?
You know what? They both had their pros and cons, right? They both taught me so much, right? One of the things that I'm so excited about, and I've been saying it for years, is I think one thing that I have an advantage on from other people is some people only ever coach at one place, or they only ever played and coached at one program, right? So if I coached at Cruces from the time I was a player to now, I probably wouldn't see things a certain way, right? I'd only have one kind of vision. The good thing about me, like as a player, I was part of that great program at Cruces, like you guys were. I went to Centennial, another great program. It's had a ton of success, but they did things different. And I remember it was hard for me. I remember I was like, what do you mean we don't do things this way? What do you mean we don't make the players do this? Like, it was tough because it wasn't what it was at Cruces. And it shocked me because that's just all I knew, is all I was programmed. So I remember having a hard time with that, but I'm so glad I got to see a different way of having success. And then I went to Oregon Mountain, and we didn't have a lot of success there. So I got to see what it's like from like a losing a lot, right? Which wasn't what you want to do. But if all I ever saw was winning, I think sometimes it would hurt when I'm sure down the road there'll be those losing times, and I at least can look back at my time there and go, dang, man, like I remember how we handled it. I remember what we should have done or shouldn't have done. And so, yeah, I think pros and cons from both. Super blessed that I got to see different ways of doing things, different coaching styles, philosophies, because now I can kind of mold it into my version, and then obviously taking my time here at Higley, another totally different way of doing things. So yeah, all pros for the way I see it, I guess. Yeah.
definitely. So, Michael, speaking of philosophies, what is kind of like your main coaching philosophy? How do you like to essentially, I guess I'll start with the offensive side of the ball. Is there a certain scheme that you really favor, or are you kind of one of those you like to run multiple different types of offenses? What is kind of your philosophy, and then what is your
It's
scheme?
funny, man. So as a defensive coach primarily, right? Every time we play teams who line up and throw the ball 50 times a game, I'm like so excited. I'm like, heck yeah, let's do it. Because those teams usually are easy to game plan for. You can get after them. There's 3 things that can happen on a passing play, and 2 of them are good for the defense, right? So I love it when they throw the ball. So for me, like, I don't want to be a team like that, right? And I know that's probably not the sexy answer, but we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball because every team, again, that we play who can run it and we know they're running it and they still run it on us, God, that's demoralizing. And so that's the kind of philosophy that I want. We're going to run the ball to throw it. We're going to, we're going to get after your ass. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to, if we don't have the guys up front, we're not going to be successful. And, it takes those guys to make sure that the skill guys have fun and get in the, on the Twitter and online and get their picture in social media, right? It's not the paper anymore. Remember Coach Miller used to say that, right? Get your picture in the paper. Nobody reads nobody reads the paper, so we'll get them on social media. It'll be good. But no, we're going to run the ball.
Oh, my favorite thing was on film. On film, he would be like, if someone got up celebrating and stuff, he'd be like, "Oh, look at this person! Look at me! Look at me!" I'm like, "Oh man!" So you couldn't celebrate. There's no celebrating
He probably told me
whatsoever.
a few times. That was probably me, Troy. So yeah, it was, yeah, not good. But yeah, so back to we're gonna run the ball. We're gonna get after it. In terms of just the X's and O's, right? I want to be multiple. We want to do things where it's not the same thing every time, right? I think one of the things that I've loved watching offensive ball is if you can run the same 10 plays, but you can do them out of like 20 different formations, it makes the defense, it's hard because you're like, man, what? You got a tight end who lines up at tight end, who lines up at receiver. You got a running back who can line up at receiver and running back. It's hard as a defensive coach to figure out what they're in, what they're doing. But as an offense, you can make it real simple. You run the same plays, you just dress it up differently. So that's kind of a little bit more of our X's and O's. I won't get like totally into that. But yeah, we're going to be multiple. We're going to, you know, we're going to go fast because I think sometimes the faster you go, the better you can be and the more simpler you can be, but you can get after it pretty quick. So, that's what you can kind of expect from us.
Well, that offense that you just described, I mean, that goes back to like Vanderbilt and New Mexico State, whenever they had Pavia over here. I mean, that same thing. I mean, they're just mixing and matching everyone and similar plays, but they kept the defense just
Yeah.
guessing,
Yeah.
right? So,
So you got Eli Stowers lining up at receiver, tight end, running back. Like those guys, you didn't know what they were doing. You know what I mean? So yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Michael, so how did you end up in Arizona?
So I was telling Chris this a little while ago before we started, but it was my wife, man. So she's the moneymaker. She works in the medical field. And so she had a job opportunity that kind of brought us out here. And I was like, well, I'm not going to hold you back because, she makes the money, right? I'm just a teacher, right? And we don't do it for the money, right, Chris? So,
No.
and so, so we just came out here and I really just sent my resume out to every high school in the Gilbert area. And I got like 5 different interviews and just kind of, went. And, like the big thing for me was I need to have a teaching job. And it just so happened it worked out perfectly where Higley needed a DB coach, someone to help out with the defense, and they had a teaching position for me. And it was a blessing, man. My 3 years here have been nothing but special. And I mean, I've grown so much as a coach. I think if I would have never came here, I'd be a different person and not for the better. I think this place really kind of made me kind of grow up a little bit more and mature, as a man and as a coach and as a teacher as well. So yeah, that was kind of how we got out here.
Your first year, you guys went to state at
Yeah.
Higley, right?
Yeah. No, we won.
Okay. Yeah, man. No, so like what were some of the differences like with that team? Like when you first I mean, obviously you probably didn't know much about Higley before going in. Like what were some things that stood out about that team?
Well, just the talent level, man. Like I remember my DB room when I got here. So I was coaching, that was my group, the safeties, the corners, and every starting DB my first year went on to play college ball. And like I've never coached any
Wow.
position where I had more than one guy who could go play college ball. Like it was a little intimidating for me, right? And I think I handled it the wrong way because I was like, man, these guys are, these D1 guys, but they're still kids. And but yeah, that was the big thing was
Yeah.
loaded with talent. When I've been here, we've had practices like in January during the open recruiting period, and we've had 20 D1, D2 schools. They just come in and come watch. And like I've never been a part of that anywhere. I mean, in Cruces, you might get an Eastern, maybe the NMSU UNM guy shows up one time, and that's kind of it, right? But like they just come in and cycle through, and kids get recruited. And that was just the expectation. Everybody that played football, like whether you were good enough or not, they worked like that because they knew they had a chance. There was definitely a chance for them to get recruited, get seen. And, we have guys from D1 to D3 level. Like we have a corner who's out at BYU right now. He graduated early. He's doing BYU spring ball, like it's crazy.
Damn.
Like it's just different where we're from. The level, the talent is just not there. Right. I think the level of football, there's some good football in New Mexico, right? But I think just here in Arizona, the talent level, there's just so many more, but yeah, so that was a big change.
Yeah, man, when I was at the junior college level out there, Yeah, you play with a whole bunch of these Arizona kids, right? So back in the day, they had, every community college had a football team out there, and man, loaded with, kids from Arizona. And yeah, there's just, man, just stacked with talent. There's high schools everywhere, there's subdivisions everywhere. So, man, I guess, you kind of, in a way, already answered this, but like you coached in the Arizona State Championship, right? And you played in a New Mexico State Championship. I mean, why would you say that there are that many differences between, the talent level? Is it just because there's more people, or do they just put a bigger emphasis in Arizona on sports?
Um,
Like more people are behind their kids playing sports and developing and so on.
you know what? I mean, obviously there's more people, right? So you get more people in an area, you're going to have more talent. But I would also say like the schools here, they prioritize sports, right? Where, no knock, there's some really good schools in New Mexico that do a good job at this, right? But as a whole, like for instance, my job right now, right? I was hired back in March and I'm still trying to get on campus there at Manzano. Here in Arizona, man, every year that I've been here, there's about 30 head coaching openings. And when I tell you they coach gets fired or resigns, a week later they're interviewing, 2 weeks later they're hiring, and that coach is on campus working like boom. And the staff is there, they're bringing everybody in, and they're just going right where I think sometimes New Mexico, I think administration and it's not like the schools, it's obviously like the main like the school districts. That's what I think holds it back, right? Because you have places like Hobbs, and Hobbs is a one-shop town. They get that thing rolling because it's just them, right? But you have places like Cruces, Albuquerque. They oversee so many schools. It takes forever and a day to just get things kind of going. And so that's the big thing here in Arizona. They just put priority on it and they get it done because they know that if their sports teams are successful, their schools are going to be successful. They're going to be coveted. Kids want to go there. So why not put emphasis on that stuff? So that's the biggest thing. But I will say this, coaching a state championship in Arizona, playing in one in New Mexico. Our New Mexico one was still, I think the environment was better because here, we got to play at ASU, which was awesome, but it wasn't packed. They charged, an arm and a leg just to park. Like, it wasn't this big atmosphere, right? And I still say, I show the kids all the time our Cruces Mayfield back in the day videos, and they're in awe because we get maybe 8,000 people at a game because we play at our school. Where like, man, you guys know we were part of something special, and it was like not many high school kids can ever say they got to do that. And so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, definitely, man. I've been around the Chandler Dame a little bit, and I saw some games out there whenever I was going to school. And yeah, I mean, the talent's great, but yeah, the atmosphere, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Switching gears again, switching gears a bit, Michael. So obviously, grew up with you a bit, same with Troy, and we know how you're just a real passionate guy, especially when it comes to coaching and sports. What do you look for? What do you look for when you're hiring your staff? Are you looking for like-minded personalities, or is there a certain type of character that you're looking for when you're hiring your staff?
I think the biggest thing to me is, are they going to be committed to what we're doing, right? Like, you could have a guy who knows football, knows his X's and O's, but if he doesn't want to put in the hours, he doesn't want to put in the time, it's not going to be, good for your program. So to me, too, I don't need to hire the most football knowledgeable guy because I can teach you football. I can teach you what I want you to do, right? We as a staff can get together and we can coach it up. That's what we do. I just need somebody who's committed to the program, who's going to back, my vision and what we're going to do as a group, because it's all of us. It's not me, it's we, right? But is also willing to, put in those hours and is there for the kids. Because again, like, as a teacher, we don't do this for the money, and as a head coach, even now, like we don't do it. I don't do this to get paid, because if I did, then like it wouldn't be a good job, right? So they have to be there for the kids. They got to want them to succeed, but obviously have those same ideals that I do, and commitment and that discipline, I think, is another big one, right? Our coaches were on us, man. And I'll say this, and you guys can attest to it. Troy, if Coach Miller got on you guys, Coach Lopez was right behind him saying the same thing. And then Coach Jay would come up and he'd tell you this. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, you weren't safe in terms of you had to do it a certain way,
No.
right? So, and that's just,
Team
yeah, man.
effort.
And it was like, I loved that as a player, right? Sometimes you didn't, right? Sometimes it's like, gosh, can you get off my back? But I loved it. And everywhere I've been, that's what I've wanted is when I say something is my offensive coordinator and my freshman level, you know, receiver coach, is he going to say the same thing too? Because if that's the case, then I think we got it figured out. So, yeah.
Man, are you guys inheriting, like, are you going to inherit a lot of guys that were on the staff last year? How is that going to
So
look?
right now we got about 3 guys that are going to come back that have been on the old staff. They've been there though. One of the things that was important to me was a lot of them have been there back when Manzano won a state championship. They've been around the success of that program. They're like Monarchs through and through. They bleed purple. So that was big for me, right? And then we have other guys who have been on the campus. They're working there. They're teaching. They've, put in a lot of hours. So, but we also got some new guys coming. It was important to me to try to find some young guys to help out, especially with, young coaches and, with young players, try to get maybe that young version out there, not so much just the old heads. And then I actually got a coach that's coming to me. He's going to join me from Las Cruces, not from the Bulldog, but from Oregon Mountain. He's going to be coming. He's going to be my offensive coordinator. And so he's coming up. He's a teacher. He's going to be joining the staff. So that was huge for me to get a guy that, I can trust, that I've worked with in the past, but that I know does things the way I want them done. So that's kind of the big hire that we have.
Oh, that's
Heck yeah.
good. That's real good.
Michael, what was the deciding factor for you to come back to New Mexico and leave Arizona? Obviously, we talked a little bit about the talent level, the facilities, and like them prioritizing football out there. What was the deciding factor and you wanted to come back?
I think the biggest thing for me, man, was I wanted a chance to finally do it my way. I've been coaching already this was like my 12th year, right? And I'm still young, but I just felt like I was ready to take on this challenge as a head coach, right? I wanted to see, if all these years and accumulating knowledge and accumulating the way of doing things, what can I do? And so that was a big thing, was just, wanted to put my stamp on a program and see if my way works. But also for us as a family, we have our son, and the 6-hour drive to Cruces from Phoenix is tough, right? Like it
Yeah.
sounds good, like, oh, well, you can get there in 6 hours, but it's different, right? And so at least being in Albuquerque, now it's a 3-hour drive. Now I could leave at 6 in the morning and get there by 9 a.m. and still have breakfast. Like it's a little bit different. We can go back on a weekend, and my son's gonna grow up closer to his grandparents, closer to family. It was big for my wife. I know she missed her family as well. So that had a huge part in it. But yeah, just wanted to kind of get back and eat some good food. Like that's one thing, man, we missed was the food and the chili. Like I tell you, we go back and the chili gets me now, man, and I hate it because it used to just be like whatever, and now like I feel like I'm an outsider, like I'm visiting, right? And it's like, man, that's not good. So got to kind of get that fixed back. So yeah.
No, I get it, man. I mean, I live about 12 hours away now, but every time I get down there and have a chance to check things out, I mean, it's funny, all the things I used to take for granted. Cruises growing up didn't seem like a big deal, right? But man, just the little things, the food, the restaurants, the hospitality, spending time with your family, friends. That's all important. That's all stuff that you can't get back. So, yeah, I'm even finding that even Chris Love hears me rant all the time too. About wanting to come back, finding something. Because I mean, yeah, having young kids too, man, it's
Yeah.
tough, and you want them to grow up around family, friends, and kind of have those roots and stuff. But no, that's awesome, and I'm glad that you get to have that opportunity to go
Yeah.
back and be successful. But why did Monzano like check all the boxes for you? Like going into looking for a job, like are you just on like Indeed, or are you like what are you doing to
Yeah.
like keep track of all these schools and all these
Yeah.
vacancies?
Give me All right. So just kind of going back to that question, I think so. The big thing, right, for me, right. So I've interviewed at different high schools. I've been in the room where you're looking for a job, and the biggest thing for me is like you want to go somewhere where you're wanted, right? Like I've gone places, and you might want the job, you might have a vision, but if they don't want you, then it's not gonna work. It's like a relationship, right? You're not gonna date somebody who doesn't like you, right? So it has to be it has to be that same way,
I've
right?
tried. I mean,
Same.
So it has to be that same kind of way, right? And so with Manzano, right, whenever I interviewed with them, it was great because their administration, right away, they were fast in their process, which is what I like because that's what I'm used to in Arizona. They didn't take a week and a half to call you back and tell you what you're going to do. What they said they were going to do is what they did, right? And so they were big on trying to bring somebody in to try to do some different things. They had a teaching job for me, which was ultra important. A lot of times when you interview, you ask them, hey, what kind of teaching job do you have? And they give you that, oh, well, we'll wait and see, or we got, and it's like, come on, man, like, you got to get the coach on campus. And they had a job and they're like, hey, this is what you're going to do. We have it ready for you. We're going to bring you in. This is what it's going to be. And so to me, it was like, man, like there was a chance to really, kind of get what I wanted out of this place. And then also, I mean, you guys remember growing up, Manzano was a good program. I mean, I know try to bring up, bad memories, Chris, but I mean, your guys' junior year, like we lost to Manzano up there. And it was, like they used to be a really good program that people respect, that people, were like, man, that's a good team, right? And even when I was coaching at Centennial, they beat us in the playoffs. The next year was when they went on that run and went undefeated in one state, right? So they've had success, and I think the administration, everybody there wants to get back to that. And obviously they're at the 4A level now, so it's a little bit different, right? But winning's winning no matter where you're at, right? And competing for state championships, it doesn't matter. We're gonna work hard, and we're gonna do things just like if we're the best team in the state, be the goal. Right. And I think they have the same kind of mindset where they're going to allow me to run the program the way I want to run it, so we can, go out and compete and, we'll win championships, go win, district championships and win games and be a coveted high school program where kids want to come. So yeah, it was like-minded, Yeah.
Yeah, I had some terrible memories at Wilson Stadium.
Yes. So, Michael, two questions. The first question is, so is that the standard for your upcoming season? Try to go to state, or are you just wanting to first see if you could build a solid program and then maybe down the road compete for a state title? What is kind of your standard for
You know
your
what,
program?
man? I think this is really important, right? The standard is the standard no matter where you're at. So yeah, we want to go compete for state championships. We want to go win every game we play. Now, is that going to happen right away? I don't know, right? I don't know, right? But that's got to be the standard. Those are the expectations. So that way, once it happens, it's not a fluke and it's not oh, this is the year, guys. Let's do it this year. It's like, heck no, man. We're doing it day one on that campus. We're competing to go win state. We're competing to go win every game we play. It doesn't matter who we play, right? But that has to be laid out from the very beginning. And again, it might not happen right away, right? There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be ups and downs, right? But yeah, that is the standard. We're going to go try to win state championships, and we're going to try to go be competitive. And, we're not going to be afraid of anybody we play. Let's go, man. Let's go play games. Let's see what happens.
Heck yeah, I love that mentality. And then my second question is, did you apply for the Oregon Mountain coaching
I
job?
did. I did. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you don't mind,
Enough
how did
said,
that
right?
process?
Enough said.
And if you don't mind, because I'm just curious, right? How did that process go? Once you interviewed with Manzano, were you like, okay, I'm good. I'm not even going to worry about
Yeah. So,
this.
what's funny is, like we grew up in Cruces, right? So Oregon Mountain was never a good program. I mean, even when we were in school, I mean, they had one good year, where they beat us. I remember I was a freshman, you guys were sophomores, and they had a good little run, but we always kind of knew we were going to beat them, right? And when I started coaching there, I grew really attached to that program. I spent 4 years there. I became a teacher there. Like I kind of grew up there a little bit, right? And so I've always kept up with them. Even my time here in Arizona, I'd watch their games on Saturday, right? I'd go to YouTube and, zoom through, right, real fast, but I'd watch the games. And yeah, so I was excited to maybe try to get back down there and do things a different way. They had a different idea of the direction they wanted to go, and kudos to them, right, for what they want to do. And, you hope that they're successful. But people make choices, and it kind of goes back to what I said, right? If you don't want to do things a certain way and you're not willing to kind of change things up, and, then that's your decision, right? And so they went a certain direction, and we'll see what happens, right?
I think the biggest thing is people don't realize like how hard it is to get that opportunity. How hard, I mean, you're what,
Mhm.
31? you're younger than me. So like to be 31 years old and get a head coaching job opportunity at a high school, I mean, man, that's
Yeah.
kudos to you. That's impressive. And to have obviously just even talking with you, you know what I mean? Like you have that football knowledge and you know the X's and O's well enough to run a team. Man, what is like the moving process like now? I mean, obviously you got to get to New Mexico now. I mean, have you guys started yet? Like, what, like, do you have a timeline of when you need to be on campus and when you need to be teaching school or
Yeah,
classes?
so I'm actually going to be out there the last week of April. So I just submitted my resignation letter here at Higley. I put in my 2 weeks, so to say, right? And but yeah, the process has been difficult just because you're trying to, you got to go through all the HR paperwork. You got to get everything cleared. I've always felt like it's kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm like doing my job at Higley, but I'm also like extremely focused on Manzano. And so I probably haven't been the best teacher as of late, just because I've been, doing stuff for Manzano and, doing booster club meetings, hiring a staff, having coaches meetings just like this, right? We're meeting over, like a Google Meet or a
Yeah,
Zoom, and we get after it that way, right? I've been trying to make deals. We're actually, I don't know if you guys, I mean, I know you remember, but Jacob Benegas, he has his built company. We just partnered with them. We
oh
just
yeah,
partnered with them. And so we're actually starting that transition tomorrow with the coaches that are there working. They're going to start implementing, what we're going to be doing with strength and conditioning wise that Jacob's company and Jacob is putting together for us. So a lot of stuff is kind of moving, right? And so, but yeah, I'll be up there at the end of April. My wife and my son, unfortunately, they'll be here for 1 more month in Arizona. So that'll be tough, to kind of leave them. But my
yeah,
wife's job, she kind of ends it in June. And so it'll be a month, it'll be a tough month, but we'll get through it. A lot of people do it military wise, and, people go away for a long time.
yeah.
So we'll get it done. But yeah, that's kind of the process right now.
Mhm.
Oh, you'll be busy. And man, you bring up Jacob Benegas and what he's done with that performance center that he has. I mean, it's incredible. There was nothing like that whenever I was going to high school and
It's
stuff like that. I
incredible.
mean, that plays a huge role in like how these student athletes are going to develop in college and so on, because you can go to some of these colleges and they might not have the best strength and conditioning program, like especially at the JUCO level, man. There it's kind of just like, hey, the weight room's open, come show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come get a lift in that full development, at that level. They're kind of just, at the JUCO stuff, at least they're just kind of letting you just use your raw talent on the field. You already get a D1 scholarship, or you go to a different school and hopefully, you're someone else's problem
Right.
down the line. But no, it's incredible what he's doing and that you guys partnered up with him. I think that's gonna be crucial to your student athletes. So I mean, they're in for a real treat, man. I see some of the workouts that he posts, and he gets in depth with all the explanations and stuff. I'm like, man, this guy would kill my ass with these workouts. So, no, yeah, good for you guys, man, for investing in your program in that type
Oh
of
yeah.
way.
No, we want to get out. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like you got to do things if you want to be different, if you want to go have aspirations to be good, you got to change things up, and Jacob's going to change things up for us. He's going to do some things where the kids might not understand it or like it right away, right? Cuz it's going to kind of get on them, but it's going to be beneficial. I tell you that. They're going to be better. They're going to be stronger, faster, more athletic, and that can only help us on the field. So, that's the plan.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
actually reached out to Jacob. I told him we're getting him on the show eventually, so
Yes, we
when he's
will.
available, so it'll be
Heck yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Hey, so Michael, just for our viewers here, what's part of your personality that maybe might surprise some people or that people don't know for you as a coach?
As a coach or just in general, like as a person?
It could be in general if you
No,
want to
well,
just go if you want to talk about
no,
you
I
as a
mean, as a
person.
coach, I'll say this, right? Like, again, kind of going back to the Cruces way, I thought that was just the only way to do things. Like, I just thought that's just how everybody was. And that's not the case, right? Like, and so I had a hard time when I went to Centennial. I was a young coach, getting on the guys, being, real disciplinarian with them. And I was only about 3 years older than most of them, right? And so that was tough, right? And then my time at Oregon Mountain, I wore a lot of hats, had a lot of responsibility, kind of didn't develop the relationships the way that I maybe wanted to, just because I was so I had a lot on my plate. But then coming out here to Arizona, again, it was a blessing. I got to just kind of take a back seat a little bit and see a different way of doing things in terms of player relationships. I mean, I never was good with talking to the kids really about their lives necessarily when I was younger. I always felt like that was kind of off limits. And now that is like so important to me. I have so many relationships with players that I've built here where, I mean, I text them not on a daily, but on a weekly, semi weekly basis. We talk about life. They can be, we can joke together. You know, we're going to get after it. We're going to have, you know, we're going to get to work, but there's also a time and place to kind of relax and enjoy the game. And that's big thing for me personality wise as a coach. I'm still going to expect discipline, accountability, and hard work, but we're going to have fun and we're going to be able to kind of laugh and enjoy moments and, you know, have a good time and make football fun again. It doesn't have to be just this rah, hard nosed, you know, yes, sir, no, sir. And that's it. You got to have a good time, right? And you got to show the kids that you're a human being too. It's not just Coach Holguin just coaches football. It's like, no, man, I like going to the movies. I like watching, you know, different TV shows, right? I'm a huge Harry Potter, Star Wars nerd. Like, that's just my identity growing up. Like, and that never kind of ends. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, that's kind of the way that I kind of see it personality wise as a coach. So,
And I'm glad that you said that, Michael, because I feel like with you and even some of the other coaches that we interviewed, it seems like that's what this generation of kids, they need those type of coaches. Ones that, of course, are firm, ones that hold them accountable, but also ones that know how to build relationships with the players and kind of get to know them on a personal level. And I think just with how kids now are in general is if they can't trust you with that stuff, you're not going to get the best out of them. And I look back to even when we played, I think it was just a different time, right? Like our coaches, we probably didn't really get to know them on a personal level like that. But also, I think just how we were raised and kind of the culture of football at that time and just society, they were kind of your authority
yeah,
figures. And you played hard. And if you messed up, they were on your butt. And that's just
yeah,
what it was. Like, and you loved your coaches. You loved being coached hard. Like, I look back and I have nothing but love and respect and admiration for, Miller, Jaquez, Lopez, all those guys, man. Great. I never was expecting a relationship back then because that's just what it was. That's just what it
yeah.
wasn't, right? But now, even when I coached, I realized like, hey, I got to really get to know these guys and I got to show them that I'm there for them or else I'm not going to get the best out of them
Well,
on the
it's
field.
just
So
like, I mean,
I definitely get it.
Coach Miller, Coach Jay, they didn't have social media when we were playing, right? So like all we knew was them coach, right? And now that's a huge thing, right? And I've had social media since I've been to play. It's my same account. Like they know who I am. I can't hide, right? I can't like put up a front because they're gonna see me in person and then they're gonna see what I'm doing on the side when they watch my stories, right? Or same thing, I'm gonna see them too because I'm gonna follow their social media, right? I know what they're up to, and so everybody kind of like you
Yeah.
build that relationship where it's like, yeah, man, like we're here to work and I'm your coach. I'm still the authority figure, but we can have a conversation. We can talk. We can laugh. You know, I'm gonna treat you like I would my son, but we're still going to have a good time. So, yeah, I agree with you, Chris.
No, and it's good. Last thing I'll say about this is I think I ran into Coach Miller not too long ago, especially when I was coaching. And, he's an assistant principal and we got to talk and he's like, yeah, I've had an admin license for years, like even when I was coaching you guys. And I was like, wow, see, I never knew that side of him where I'm like, okay, you were highly invested in, being an
Mm-hmm.
educator. Like obviously I knew he had to be a teacher to coach, but I didn't realize like, no, like this is a core aspect of you is being the
Yeah.
educator or you're now an administrator,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I wonder, like, hey, if I would have known that side of him back in the day, I don't know if it would have made a difference. I would have still been like, let me stay out this man's way. But just you gain a different level of
Mm-hmm.
respect when you kind of know, like you said, that human aspect of your
Mm-hmm.
coaches, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
But Michael, so man, that's probably going to wrap everything up. But once again, we appreciate you coming on our show. We appreciate that we kind of get to explore, what's going to happen in the future with your career with Manzano. And man, I hope to see you take that school to new heights. I know that they reached their peak probably back in like 2017 when they won state. But man, I would like to see another state title go through Manzano again, and you at the head of
Yeah,
everything.
for sure. No, man, I appreciate it, and we're gonna get to work, and I just can't wait to get there because, like I said,
Yeah,
you just want to be there with the kids, right? You want to get started. You got to start training them on the culture and our mentality and our expectations. But no, man, it's gonna be a blast, and thank you guys for having me on here and giving me a platform to kind of talk about my journey, but also what we're gonna be doing at Manzano because it's important. I think one of the things is carrying that mentality. You guys remember it, man, like that dirty South mentality. So, Manzano's up
yeah.
north, so we might have to amend that. Maybe we'll call it the nasty North. I don't know. We'll have something catchy. But we'll get
Something
after
like
them, man.
that.
So we're gonna have that mentality and not be afraid of anybody, and let's just go play. But let's have a good time doing it, right? But if the men, when they graduate and they go on, if they're good human beings, just like ourselves, none of us went pro, and a lot of us obviously married, have kids. That's the goal down the road, is what kind of man are you
Yeah,
going to be, right? And so that's big with the program too.
yeah,
Is we're going to try to win games, win state championships, but what are you going to be like when we're 31, 32 years old? Are you going to be somebody that can be relied on?
yeah.
So we'll see.
And it comes by pretty
Oh yeah.
quick, man. It's like all of a sudden, yeah, you're 32, two kids, and you're like, damn. but,
No, it's good, man.
but well, guys, stay tuned for next week because we're bringing on another special guest. You guys are in for a treat. So we'll see you
Yes.
guys next week.